I'm going to tell you how to find out whether or not Model 3 is coming to the neighborhood near you, but the main story, of course, is how Tesla Autopilot did in a recent study among other manufacturers that was studied in that study. Wow, I'm completely tripping on myself. So here's a bit of a clue, but I'm also going to tell you who was number one. Of course, comment of the day coming up as well. We're gonna get it all going right here, right now at E4 Electric, your number one source for what's happening now in the world of electric cars. And we're gonna start right now. All right, let's talk about Tesla Autopilot. Of course, as you know, it is at a version 2.5, but it started back in the day, 2 years ago, when they came out with the very first version. It was a big deal because, you know, it was a new car maker, electric car, new technology, and it was really, really cool to see people with their wheels turning and the car parking and the summits and everything. But then Tesla decided to part ways with Mobileye, the company that's now owned by Intel, but they were providing the hardware and the software for Tesla for their Autopilot. They decided to split, develop their own. Until this day, the features in the current Tesla Autopilot are not as good, and maybe not even all of them are there as the very first one. Meanwhile, other companies started to develop their own, and Tesla started falling behind little by little by little. And for example, companies like Waymo is now they're not even testing. They have in a Phoenix area, they have these vans without anybody in the driver's seat transporting people around. There is still employee in the passenger seat, but these are completely autonomous, level 4. Also, as you remember, Chevy Bolt is the car that Chevy has been pretty much showcasing all around. The sales have been really good, but GM also bought Cruise Automation, the company that makes self-driving software. So they've been implementing it into the Chevy Bolt, and they've always been testing. And now, I believe it was in New York and Manhattan, they're testing level 4 autonomous driving for that. As a matter of fact, a few days ago, Chevy came up with a Cruise AV picture of basically Chevy Bolt without the steering wheel. So these are the companies that started to develop, and it's no accident that I mentioned these two, because Waymo placed number one in that study. By the way, the study was done by the company called Navigant, and Chevy Bolt, well, Cruise Automation really was rated number 2. I've been talking about this for a while. I mean, this has been probably one of my biggest disappointments with Tesla, with the fact that they cannot catch up literally with their own software 2 years later, and the fact that a lot of other companies have really passed it. Now, by the way, Tesla is dead last, even below Apple, and I believe there are 17 different companies that were rated by this study. And again, no surprise here. Let me know what your experience is with your Tesla Autopilot, whether you have an S, an X, or maybe even a 3. I was kind of showcasing my Model S Autopilot, which is 1.0, to one of my new coworkers, and it literally almost hit a curb and then could not make a turn. It was on a 20-mile-an-hour road, sort of a 1 lane each way road. I kind of thought it was going to be able to handle it, but it didn't. So even the number one, even the 1.0 Autopilot hasn't been actually even that good anymore, I guess. So let me know in your chat room, and of course in the comment section, what your experience have been with this. And I see a lot of people joining in the chat room. Anton from Sweden, Jan from Slovakia, Larry Wave from Finland, Andreas from Germany, and Vit from Czech Republic. A lot of regulars. All right, well, let me remind you guys that this show and the channel is sponsored by Evanex, the provider and maker of aftermarket accessories for Tesla. And of course, they have provided all of us in this community with our own discount code, which you can find in the description of this video. And by the way, let me tell you that tonight at 5 p.m. I'm finally going to 5 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to release this video where from my CES, one of my CES reports about Kia Nero EV, which I believe is going to be a huge deal this year. It is 238-mile all-electric SUV that's going in production and on sale this year. I'll talk about it in that report. All right, let's move on to Model 3. I don't know if you guys in the area where Tesla have been finally pushing their display models into their showrooms, but this is the email that I got today. If this is for the San Jose showroom, it's basically saying that the Tesla Model 3 display car is coming to the showroom near you. It gives you the location and time. Now, as you know, I went to the Stanford shopping mall here in Palo Alto where the very first one was displayed, and I didn't get an email about that, even though Stanford shopping mall about 20 miles away from me, where this location is about 10 miles away from me. So I guess this has to be like the most nearest location to you. So if you're a reservation holder, you should get this email if the showroom nearest to you has a display model. I believe Florida and New York are next. And of course, here in California, there are a few other locations, including Walnut Creek, also here in the Bay Area, and of course, Stanford and LA already have their display models. This is pretty important. This is basically a way for people who may not even be on the reservation list or who are on the reservation list and they still not really sure to check this car out in person. You can sit in there, you can play around with the UI, but remember, this is a display model. They're not going to let you drive this car, at least not just yet. If you go like right now, during the afternoon, you'll probably be okay. But later in the evening today and over the weekend, the line may be 1 to 2 hours long because a lot of people are really wanted to sit in the car and check it out. But if you have a chance, or maybe just wait for next week, just so you know, you can, in some areas, and will be more and more of them, see this car in person. Of course, I wanted to remind you and thank you, my Patreons, who my latest video on Patreon is my interview with Nikki of Transport Evolved. It's uncut and full version, so thank you so much for supporting me. Andreas in the chat room is going back to our original story. Says Elon announced a major upgrade of Autopilot, which is running through extensive testing right now. Looking forward to that. Of course, I'm actually, I'm pretty hopeful about what's going to happen with the Autopilot. I mean, obviously, Elon knows that this needs to be fixed. I'm sure Tesla working very tirelessly on this, and they have delivered. They've delivered stuff late to us, but they have delivered. So I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do to try to beat Waymo and Chevy Bolt and pretty much everybody on last on the list. Anton says, nice of you to CES report for Now You Know. By the way, yes, that's right. I was featured on Now You Know channel, of course, with my full recap of the CES. Love working with those guys. Met them in person. They are super nice. Let's see. What's on your shirt? Well, my shirt says that Frank is my second favorite F word, and that is true. And of course, if you want to buy one of these or some of the other funny shirts that I've created, you can also go to the link in the description of this video and own one and walk around yourself and people asking, what does this really mean, man? What's Frank? So that's usually a good conversation starter. Let's see. Nigel says, looking at Frank on Model 3 rear wheel drive, looks as if it will be very small and 4-wheel drive version. Guess you're answering to somebody else. Did you see fully charged in a Jaguar? Yes, Nigel, I did, but I have no idea why he made that video besides, to show us that he got into a Jag prototype. He was not able to talk about anything really in that car. There was absolutely no new information from what we've already known from what Jaguar told us and released the videos during the LA Auto Show. So that was kind of cool to see him if you're a fan, but I really didn't find anything useful in that video. So I don't know, you tell me if you found anything, but all he did throughout the video, to me, it looked like telling us how he cannot say anything to us that he's seeing in front of him. All right, let me move on to the my most favorite part of the show, which is a comment of the day. And comment of the day comes probably one of the most active posters, not here in the chat room. He rarely joins us here in the chat room, but in the comment section when the replays are posted. Now this is a much longer post, as he usually posts pretty long, and I not even necessarily agree with some of it, the rest of it, but his original statement is true. He says, I think as more people who are unfamiliar with batteries care buy EVs, they will be misled by the stated range compared to their ICE vehicles. And I can't agree with you more. And I think this is something that maybe Tesla and other companies are not thinking about right now. But yes, people will listen to the number. The EPA rated on a European and In Japan, they have even more generous system how they rate the range, and then they'll get the car and it might be cold, and of course they might be driving a little rougher than an average person and going at higher speed on the freeway, and then they realize that, let's say, 220 range that they've been promised is really 160, 150 range, and they might really get upset because we know, right? All of us here, probably most of you watching, we know that the range has to be calculated for your driving, for your conditions and so forth, and it can change drastically. Well, most people don't, and I wonder what's going to happen with this once people start getting a hold of these cars and maybe being disappointed. Nigel says fun is your most favorite. That's right, it is. Fun is my most favorite F word. A good point. Absolutely agree. Good one, Nigel. Nigel also says in the chat room, looks like it's not as big as Tesla, more like Model Y SUV. Right. So, well, you're talking about Kia Nero EV, right? Yeah, it's kind of a crossover, but a little bit bigger than a crossover. I mean, it is a full SUV. They make Neros right now. They're just not fully electric. But yeah, and they, you know, the expectation is that they're going to price them under 40,000, and then with the incentives, you really, like in states like California where you get more rebates, you can get that car from, you know, starting at 30,000, and that's I'd say that, I'm telling you, this Kia EV, I think that's going to do extremely well. It will surprise a lot of people because besides the, you know, very expensive SUV that Model X is, it will be the only SUV available for a while, especially in that price range. So there you go, guys. There are a lot of things going on. If you will try to see Model 3 in the area near you, check your inbox, and you will find out once Tesla sends out those emails. Okay, guys, I gotta run. It was nice hanging out with you once again. We'll do another one tomorrow at 11 a.m. and of course on Sunday we'll have a longer hangout and have more good times, talk about electric cars and my t-shirts. All right, guys, I will talk to you tomorrow, and remember to stay charged.